Hey everyone, welcome back to Alf's Mustang Garage, bringing you another video to help keep your Mustang on the road and out of the garage. So today we are working on a 289 Ford engine block. It belongs to this 66 Mustang convertible. The previous video we completely disassembled this, kind of did a fun little time lapse. But I'm going to start doing like a series of videos on assembling this 289 engine block, starting with this video. And the very first thing I'm going to do, aside from taking it to the machine shop, because this engine has already been to the machine shop, it's been checked, it got bored 30 thousandths over, and that was like the first time it has ever been bored. So this is its first ever rebuild, which is a very good candidate for a 289 block. I don't like to go too crazy on the bores or anything whenever I do this. So it's been machined already. We got new freeze plugs in there. We got new cam bearings in there. The crankshaft has been machined. It's been line honed. This thing's ready for assembly, but I think it's a lot easier to paint the blocks before I assemble them. So that's what today's video is all about. We're going to show you how to paint the engine block. This engine block just came back from the machine shop. It's all machined, it's ready for assembly, but obviously we want to lay down some primer first. So some key things that I have learned, and Uncle Tony's Garage actually has a really good video on this about what to do in preparation before you lay down your primer and paint, because obviously you want your primer and paint to stick, right? So the machine shop or whoever cleans your engine is going to like do a chemical dip on this thing and like really degrease the thing. Well, the thing is with cast iron is it's really porous, and so what tends to happen is you get a lot of grease and chemicals that are just kind of like soaked into the metal. And so you gotta like clean that. Anything that you paint, whether it's a car or an engine block or anything, it's gotta be clean, or else your paint just won't stick to it over time. It'll just kind of come off. So the trick with cast iron is we need to heat it up, okay? And what you're seeing here is all the oil. This is oil that is just kind of burning out of it. It's just kind of like opening the pores of that, and it just kind of comes out. Like, it's crazy, but it doesn't take like crazy heat. You just kind of heat it up, and then like you get that oil to come to the surface, and then we're gonna like wipe that down with acetone and clean it up. Once you kind of like use your heat on this, torch really works really well. We just kind of clean it up. We get this Rust-Oleum acetone, and just kind of like use a microfiber towel, not one of those red towels that's going to leave red fibers all over your engine block. Get a microfiber towel and soak it with acetone and then wipe up all those oils. You may want to do this, 2 to 3 times just for added measure to really make sure that this engine block is clean. Another key note to kind of remind yourself that acetone is very flammable. So make sure you're done with the torch before you do any kind of acetone, and don't get yourself into trouble. Okay, once you've gone over all the areas that you want painted, you're now essentially ready for primer. So we're just gonna start, masking it off and getting it ready to brush on some primer. You've got your block all cleaned. We just kind of show you how we do that. Once you kind of feel like you've got it as clean as you can go, we're going to just kind of mask off like the top and bottom here. Like I'm not spraying my paint, I'm gonna brush my paint on, and we're gonna use the Eastwood high temp ceramic engine paint. And we're gonna use the old Ford Blue. As far as I know, this is kind of one of the better ones on the market, or one of the best ones on the market. It's gonna come with the urethane activator, or you're going to want to get the urethane activator. It doesn't actually come with it. You have to buy this separately. So we're going to mix these 4 to 1. So we're going to get a mixing cup. We got brushes, and believe it or not, like these like brushes that you can get from the dollar store are actually like really nice to just kind of brush it on really smooth. So that's what we're going to do as far as our approach goes. So we'll go ahead and mix this up. So you want to make sure you shake it really good. Okay, so we're going to mix this 4 to 1. Just gonna, and I'm going to bring this up too. Mix her up good. Obviously with this, I'm just trying to not lap it on like super heavy. I don't want it to like run everywhere. But I like kind of brushing them on because you can kind of like spread it around really nice. Another thing about this paint, if you notice I'm not putting any primer on, it's because this specific Eastwood paint is direct to metal. So you do not primer it. Kind of makes your process a little easier. But I don't mask off the entire engine because, I'm not spraying it. I'm just going to be as careful as I can. And she will turn out looking pretty good. Once you got like your first coat of paint down, you can just kind of go over it. If you see any kind of runs or anything, you can kind of brush it out, especially if you're like in a cool shop like how we're painting today. I mean, it's relatively cool in here. It's only like 70 degrees. So as we kind of go around, we can kind of brush out any kind of runs or whatnot and kind of go over. And if you're going to put a second coat on, like it's probably better to do it like while it's still kind of tacky. But I think it's going to look good. This is a pretty good match, I feel like, to the old Ford Blue. I don't think the camera really does the justice, but in person it looks really, really well. So So yeah, we'll let that kind of dry out a little bit and maybe put a second coat on and kind of see how she looks when she's all good and dry. Okay, so now that you've allowed your engine block to kind of dry up overnight or over the weekend or whatnot, you can kind of pull your tape off and kind of see how well you did there. You might have a little bleed through, but that's okay. You can go through and kind of touch it up. So, what I like to do is just kind of, as I come through after my tape is pulled, you know, I can kind of touch it up a little bit. If there's any areas like on the edges that need to be touched up, like I have a little tiny touch-up brush right here. So like right here on this little tab, you know, you can kind of come on through right here. Just kind of do some light touching up, and so yeah, obviously we're gonna paint, like, you know, the timing cover, and we're gonna paint the oil pan, and we're gonna paint the cylinder heads. But like, this is just like so much easier before I like assemble this thing to just kind of paint the block itself, and you know, all the other parts I'll paint separately. I'll paint the timing cover standalone. I'll paint the oil pan standalone, and cylinder heads I'll paint standalone. And intake, this is going to get an aluminum intake, so we're not going to paint that. But that's the very first thing that I like to do before I assemble anything. Just paint my engine block, and then it's just like good. It's just like so much easier when I don't have like anything else to kind of work around, you know. But yeah, I love the Eastwood paint. If you want to get a slightly better job, or like a lot better job than your, you know, standard just AutoZone rattle cans, like those are fine. But I mean, prep, good quality paint, direct to metal, Eastwood's really good color match for the old Ford blue. I like it here. So that's step one for me, putting an engine together. Appreciate you being here. As always, if you haven't had a chance, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It does help us to make more videos to help you guys out. We'll catch you on the next go around.